Hey, man. Great to see you. Welcome. You'll notice that we are in a very different spot this week. I'm not in a hotel room, thank goodness. Not downstairs in the studio. We're actually upstairs in the other studio. If you've seen some of my other videos, you kind of know that this is the podcast suite where we do a lot of that kind of stuff and a lot of this kind of stuff. Things where we don't actually need to play anything. And there's a very specific reason. This will be the first Hey Man video out of the first, this is number 11, I think, at this point. The first one where I'm not going to show you how to do something on the practice pad. I'm not going to give you a sticking pattern or something to work out your hand. There's a very good reason for that. And it has to do with the topic that I want to talk with you about today. And the reason why we're not doing any of that stuff is the last few weeks, really for about 6 weeks, off and on. But for the last couple of weeks, I've been in and out of town. I've been on airplanes and riding 6 and 7 hours in different directions and playing a lot of different gigs and rehearsing a lot of new music for stuff that I'll be doing in the coming weeks. Specifically, some stuff that I'm doing for this tour with the Platters in December. It's going to take me all over the United States. The reason we're not doing anything today is I wanted to talk with you about what I'm feeling right this moment after days and weeks of having no day off. I really wanted to talk about burnout. And I think it's important to table this idea with you and really try and give you some of my thoughts about how I deal. Let me frame it this way. So Mark Twain is famous for being associated with the quote, "Find a job you enjoy doing and you'll never have to work a day in your life." And ideally, that sounds like an awesome thing. That sounds like I want that life. I don't necessarily believe that to be true, actually. I love my job as a drummer and as an audio engineer, as a music producer, as an educator. The other things that I do in and around music and the creative arts, I absolutely love my job. If there was anything like a dream job or a dream life, dadgummit, I think I have it. But that doesn't mean that I have days where it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't mean that I don't have days where I'd rather not be doing this. It doesn't say anything about the work itself. It doesn't necessarily say anything about the conditions under which I have to work sometimes, because most of the time, conditions I have to work under are pretty sweet, and the majority of the time I'm paid pretty well to do what I do, so why would I ever burn out would be the question. Why would I ever not want to do my job? Well, probably because I'm human, like you. You just if you get into a cycle where you're doing the exact same thing or a very similar thing day after day after day, it doesn't get to be a rat race. But our brains really do thrive on variety. Now, I am lucky because I don't do the exact same thing every day. I don't play drums in the studio every single day, 8, 10, 12, 14 hours a day. I don't play drums on a stage every day, hours and hours and hours a day. I don't sit in a studio working as an audio engineer or producing projects or teaching lessons or filming. Like, I don't do any one thing for days and weeks at a time. I do have some variety, but it is possible to have too much of a good thing. I mean, salt is awesome. Can you imagine having food that had no salt in it? It would suck. Now, on the other side of that, too much salt can ruin even the best dish. There's a right amount of that particular seasoning, depending on the dish, right? So burnout is real, even in a career path that you're doing what you love and you're doing something that you're very good at. And in a lot of cases, I'm paid pretty well for the stuff that I've learned how to do over the last 3 or 4 decades. So how do I know that I'm burning out is probably the more important question. And for me, the first indicator that I'm burning out is I don't want to do anything, even music. Last week I spent, to give you an idea what my week was last week, I spent 5 days in Boston. 4 of those were rehearsing. A little bit of that was travel. I got back on Saturday just in time to come home, get all of my dirty clothes out of my laundry, put some clean clothes in a smaller piece of luggage, a little bag, and get my drums and things together and go right to a gig and play a local gig. And as soon as that gig was over, I got home in time to go right to sleep and wake up about 5 hours later and go play my church gig on Sundays, which I love my church gig. It's a great gig. So I got to the end of that Sunday afternoon, and after having an entire week of just playing drums or working on music or talking about music or in some cases getting to practice on my own and with the group that I was with, after an entire week of that, come Sunday afternoon, all I wanted to do was sleep. I didn't want to do anything. It happens. It happens. The other reason the thing that I notice when I'm getting ready to really burn out and need to recharge my batteries is I have a temper. And you might not be able to tell it from these videos. And you probably, hopefully, can't tell it from hanging out with me in real life, in the studio or on a gig or just hanging out and having a cold one together. Hopefully, you would look at me and go, how could Brian ever have a temper? I do. I have a horrible temper when I'm tired. And I, in spirit of transparency, I'll just tell the story. So as I'm pulling up to my Saturday gig, I'm getting ready to kind of pull in and back into this spot to unload all my stuff. The load at this particular place is an awful loading situation. So getting that prized spot, there's one spot you can get in where the load is not bad. So as I'm kind of angling to get myself to where I can back into this spot, a car comes zipping past me and zips right into that spot. Comes right around and zips into that spot. And without knowing who was in the car or the reason why they were zipping around me, it was pretty obvious what I was about to do. While they zipped around me and stole that spot, I threw my truck into park, and let's just say that I jumped out and was in front of the other car without touching the ground. That's kind of how mad I was. Normally, that sort of situation wouldn't make me angry. It made me a little pissed, but I wouldn't be angry. And I had to take a beat for a second because there's a couple of words that came out of my mouth that nobody but me and the singer for the band up the hill heard. And I had to catch myself. I'm like, oh, crap. I'm angry. I'm going on 2 hours of sleep. Less than 8 hours ago, I was in Boston, and now I'm in Atlanta, standing here in the middle of this driveway, and I'm about to curse somebody out. That's kind of out of character for me. If I'm that angry, then I'm probably tired, and I'm probably getting a little burnt out. And so I had to just take a beat for a second. And the guy who pulled into this spot and instantly made my load 3 times as long and 4 times as difficult. He didn't care what he'd done. He didn't care who I was. He didn't care anything other than he wanted to get where he was for whatever reason he wanted to get there. And he did not care that he inconvenienced me greatly. And it took me a second to kind of find my empathy, find my compassion, find myself, and just turn around and walk off. And that's what let me know, you know what? I think you're going to be needing to take some time off the next day or two. And so, yeah. So after I got done with church, the church gig on Sunday, I thought about filming this video for you, and I had a completely different thing that I wanted to talk about. And I just didn't even want to do that. I didn't want to get in front of a camera. I didn't want to talk to you about anything. I didn't want to pick up a guitar or a drumstick or open up Pro Tools and work on some music. I didn't want to do anything. And I love the stuff that I do. So in that case, yeah, find a job you enjoy doing. You'll never have to work a day in your life. Maybe the actual task that you have to do is not work, but all the things that are in and around doing the thing that you actually enjoy. Getting to the gig or getting to the session, getting things set up or tearing things down, or sitting in an airport for 3 hours and waiting for a plane or whatever it is. Those are the things that you might not enjoy about your job. So the first thing that I do when I know that's coming on and I feel that is I stop. And in the case of Sunday, I'm going to stop and take a drink right now. In the case of Sunday, I just went to bed. I got done with my church gig and I went to bed for about 4 or 5 hours. And I went to sleep. Middle of the afternoon. Not something I would normally do. Just went to sleep and I got some rest. So my first thing, it's not a novel concept, but in a world, I think, that prides itself on the hustle, a world that prides itself on pushing yourself beyond what you think you're capable of doing. And in a world where people look up to the David Gogginses and the people, and not to single him out or anything, because he's awesome. I don't necessarily think that pushing through that is the best thing for your physical health or your mental health. And I don't think that working 7 days a week, 20 some odd hours a day for weeks and months and years at a time is a healthy thing. I'll tell you one more story, and just being honest with you and being transparent. And this has been maybe 10 years ago. I had the best financial week of my life, maybe about a decade ago. I worked for 8 solid days with maybe an hour in between each one, except for one where I stayed up for almost 48 solid hours. An hour in between each day where I slept and showered. So I didn't sleep for an hour. I had an hour in between the corporate event that I was playing at, stuff that I was audio engineering, the things I was mixing and producing, the stuff I was playing on. With all the things I'd lined up in that week, I basically had 8 days where I really didn't sleep much at all. And at that point in my life, going into that week, I felt like I must be. I have made it. This is as successful as you can get. I've got more work to do this week than I have hours in the week to do. I had to turn down stuff, and including turning down sleep. I had, for some of the studio stuff I had to do that week, I had interns with me that would go home in the middle of some of the stuff we were doing, 14 hours of a thing with the studio or a mixing session or whatever. And they would just tap out and say, Brian, I'm done. I got to the end of that 8 days, and financially it was the busiest I'd ever been. And financially, it was the best week I'd ever had. And I can say this now because it's far enough behind me, and hopefully it won't sound like bragging, but that was like a $12,000 week. It's the best financial week I've ever had. Now, on the ninth day, I turned around and I pretty much handed all that money to a building contractor and had him put in the driveway for my studio, and the room now that's my teaching room got finished off, and I think we might have put a bathroom in then too, maybe. Basically, we finished off the entirety of my studio, so I didn't really see any of that money. It just rolled right into finishing off the studio. That was kind of the intent when I pulled all that stuff together. I'm like, I need this much money by this date, and the only way that I'm going to get it done is to just stack up as much as I can do in the week before, and then I'll be able to pay for it. But what happened afterwards, after I handed that money over, I got my check and essentially signed it over to the building contractor. I mean, that's basically how it worked. For the next 3 or 4 days, I just slept. I was exhausted. I couldn't do anything else. I lost 3 or 4 days because I couldn't function. Physically, I could not function. Mentally, I could not function. I could not focus. Could not get anything on. I couldn't even watch television. My mind just was fried. So for almost 4 days, I just slept. I got up to maybe eat a little something, but then I'd go right back to sleep. So I lost almost half a week because I made that choice that it sounds awesome. It sounds awesome to say I worked 23 hours a day, quite literally 23 hours a day, 48 hours solid in 1 2-day stretch, and made a whole lot of money. The reality of it was it wrecked me for days. And I felt the effects of it for weeks after that. That got me to start to rethink how I do this. There's got to be a balance between the amount of work that I'm doing, how happy I am with that, and also the amount of rest and distraction that I give myself. So the first thing I do after I stop and sleep and rest is to get away from music and creative stuff entirely. You would think, well, this is a career and a job that you love and you've worked your entire life to do. Why would you want to get away from it? You can get a little bit too much of a good thing, definitely. And for me, the only way to completely keep myself from completely burning out on doing this is to get away from it for a little while and fill my life with some distractions and some activities that have absolutely nothing to do with music. When I woke up on Sunday from my little nap, the first thing I did is I spent about an hour just rolling around on the floor with my dogs and throwing the ball around the house and just hanging out with my dogs. For an hour, that was a great distraction. It had nothing to do with anything but just being in the moment and enjoying them and being a part of their lives. I hadn't seen them in almost 2 weeks. So, other than, Saturday, I came home for a couple of hours to shower and change clothes and do all that stuff. I hadn't seen them very much at all. So to spend an hour with my dogs, it definitely helped recharge my battery a little bit. Spending time with friends and family is a great distraction. Almost anything I can do with someone, with my wife or with some of my friends, anything we can do, even if all we're doing is sitting around and having a cold one, like that's enough of a distraction that it helps me to begin to recharge again. I do watch a little bit of TV. I try and limit how much TV I watch. I'm trying to be purposeful. I have 2 or 3 different series that I'm watching at any given time. So I might watch an hour or 2 of television just so I can turn my brain off and focus on something that has nothing to do with my life at all, nothing in reality. Just nothing. And sometimes it's a football game. I'm not even a sports person, but sometimes just staring at a football game for an hour, where I don't even really care who is playing, is a great distraction that can help me to start recharging my batteries. And then there's all kinds of non-musical pursuits that you can begin to look at doing. For a while, I was going to the driving range and hitting golf balls. It's been a while since I've done that. I'll get back to it. Probably in the spring, but find some kind of non-musical pursuit that you can do either by yourself or with your friends and with your family. It's a regular thing that I'll get in the car and the wife and I'll just go up to Helen, which is up in the North Georgia mountains, and we'll just walk around, or we'll walk around anywhere. Sometimes we just go to thrift stores or these little places now where people have booths and they have all kind of just vintage things. And, I'm usually looking for vinyl or something. But just walking around, looking at stuff and shopping but not buying is a great distraction when you need to rest and recharge and just disconnect yourself from the thing that's causing your burnout. And talking about vinyl, when I do decide to come back to music, I do it really slow. I'll start by maybe going right across the room here and putting an album on and just sitting in front of the speakers. I've got a setup here in this room across from the set where all this stuff is. I've got a spot across the room where I can just sit in a chair in front of a couple of studio monitors. There's a turntable there. And for however long it takes to get through side A and side B, I'll just listen to an album, not to learn the songs, not to learn anything about music, not to learn anything about song structure or how to write, just to enjoy the music. That's me slowly coming back to music after a day or two or sometimes 3 off. So I'll just sit there and I'm just listening. I let the music wash over me, and I just try and enjoy it for what it is. I might pick up an instrument, especially the last 18 months as I've been learning how to play guitar and getting back into learning more about playing piano. I might just sit and just strum 3 chords. Maybe I'll sing whatever song matches whatever those 3 chords are. I can't tell you how many times after had this respite, this little bit of time away from music where I just pick up an acoustic guitar and I just start playing, those chords, just start singing "Knocking on Heaven's Door," it sounds silly, but it's a good way for me just to come back to music in a way that has nothing to do with just anything other than just being washed over by music, being absorbing music, participating in music, but not something that has anything to do with work. It's purely for enjoyment. And as crazy as it sounds, playing those 4 chords you need to play "Knocking on Heaven's Door," or if you're playing the Guns N' Roses version, you only need 3 chords. Little known fact to a lot of people. Anyway, just sitting there and playing those chords and maybe humming that melody is a great way to just start slowly come back to music. I may spend an hour or 2 with a piece of music software that I just picked up. For Black Friday, I just picked up the Unfairchild plugin and a couple other pieces of software. And so at some point tonight, probably tomorrow morning, I'll spend 30 minutes just kind of playing around with that plug-in and putting it through its paces on some things just to get myself back closer to working with music and doing stuff in the studio. And if I have time, after I have gotten myself back to that point, I might open a Pro Tools session and start playing some chords and work on something creative of my own. I may open a song that I've been working on before and add some stuff to it. May change some keyboard parts, or maybe work on some lyrics, or do something that's really just for me, where there's no stakes involved, and just enjoy being around music and being creative. Sometimes I'm working on something else on the computer. I may be working on a piece of digital art. I may be working on a video, something that I'm doing purely for my enjoyment. A few of the videos that are up on this YouTube channel, I did purely for the enjoyment of doing them. They might have been valuable to you, but they were way more valuable to me just by doing them. So I'll work on something creative, something that didn't exist in the world before I started working on it. And then once I start to feel that my batteries are recharged and I'm ready to come back into the land, I call it the land of the living. Once I'm ready to come back into the land of the living and actually get back to work, I try and come back strong. So I usually will schedule that first full day back, either doing a gig or doing a studio session and working on something that I'm really excited about working on. Or if I don't know what I'm going to be working on, I'm at least excited to be working with the people that I'm working with. So I'm not coming back after this long period that has burnt me out a little bit, got me a little crispy. I'm not coming back into a situation dreading getting back to work. I know so many people that I call them civilians, people that aren't in the music business. They just have regular jobs that, their weekends are their way to recharge. But then come Monday morning, they're already heading back down the slope towards burnout because they don't want to go do the thing they got to do on Monday morning. Not me. I try and schedule the first thing that I do when I come back from that little sabbatical, something that I'm going to be excited about, something that I'm going to love doing, or at least if I have no idea what we're going to be doing, like if it's a studio project, I at least enjoy the people that I'm working with and I'm excited about working with them. So that gets me back into my routine. It gets me back into the flow, the creativity and the enthusiasm and all the things that I have very consciously tried to make a part of every day. And then I'm back into work. And like I've done the last couple of days, when I got done on Sunday, I'd intended to make this video on Monday. By Monday morning, I knew what I wanted to talk about because I knew how I felt. But I was burnt. I was a little crispy around the edges. So I didn't do anything Monday. I slept most of the day, went out and played with my dogs for a while, and sat on the porch for a while, and I went back to sleep like I did nothing on Monday. It was pretty crazy. I felt a little guilty about it. But again, I knew I was going to make this video for you. So at least me doing that had a little bit of a purpose, I guess. And then yesterday, about half the day, I wasn't quite ready to slide back into it. So I had to come back slowly with some of these steps that I told you about before to get myself ready so that today I could come back in strong, get to working on things, and including making this video for you. As soon as I'm done with this one, I've got a bunch of boxes to open, and you're going to love seeing what's in those boxes. We're going to talk about that in another video. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be playing at the Lawrenceville tree lighting down at City Hall in Lawrenceville, or right outside the historic City Hall. So, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. So I'm going to enjoy the morning with family and eating some food and having a great Thanksgiving. And then we're going to go light a tree and play some music. That's all I got for you. I hope you find this valuable. I want to say thank you so much because a lot of people have watched the last 10 episodes of Hey Man. And one of them's got almost 10,000 views at this point. And I really appreciate you for watching. If this is your first one, I'm going to put something out here in just a moment where you can get the whole playlist of the other 10 episodes that are up. And if you've seen all of them already, go back and watch them again. Yeah, why not? I guarantee you there's some stuff in there you missed the first time. But have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, enjoy your turkey or your faux turkey or whatever whatever it is that you're eating for Thanksgiving. have a great Thanksgiving. Hopefully this won't kind of date this, but if you're watching this after Thanksgiving, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you're gearing up for a great Christmas. And please, if you're not already subscribed, hit that little subscribe button below. Ding that bell so that every time I put a video out, you get notifications. And please give this a thumbs up because that helps let the algorithm know to show more videos like this to more people like you. That's how we spread this really good stuff, helpful stuff, useful stuff, things that's going to make your life better. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm putting this stuff out, is to try and give you some ideas that you can, put inside your brain for a while, maybe put inside your life so that it'll add value and make things better for you. So, but for now, that's all I got for you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Until next time, be awesome to yourself. Be extra awesome to everybody that you meet. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you. Make sure you hit this playlist right here and go watch some more Hey Man episodes. Later.